Welcome to the 90 Degree Show, the sports center for college marching bands where we recap the ultimate battles from this weekend. And now, here's our host, the Phantom Podcaster himself, Joe Beard.
There it is. All right, welcome to the 90 Degree Show. We're back for 2019. I'm your host, Joe Beard. Happy to be of service for you. Hope y'all can hear me and everything. Shout out to your A1 story. Finally. I'm getting it together. Hopefully you can hear me and everything in the chat room, broadcasting hello to the world. We're back. Again, thanks for all the love and support. We have a new format this year, so I'm excited to tell you about it. But first, before I do anything else, let me say hello to the esteemed panelists here. First, I want to say hello to the great Ernest Stackhouse, editor of blockusupbandblog.com. How you doing, sir, in this podcast?
What's going on, my brother? I'm glad to be back. Excited about the new year.
Yeah, man, excited. Thanks again for having you. I appreciate you support and love what you're doing. And we'll actually be getting into a couple of your articles today. So definitely leaving it up for the discussion. Of course, last but not least, the one and only, the great Bridget Bear. How you doing in this podcast, man?
Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? I'm doing great. Excited to be back for this 2019, 2020, oh my gosh, podcast season. So, hey, everybody.
Well, thank you again for your support as well. Bridget is like, you like Stephen A. Smith. You like worldwide. You're a superstar. You're a superstar. You know what I'm saying? So I want to say thank you to you, especially just all the relationships. And Ernest, I appreciate you. Shout out to Rashard. Rashard is might be on the show this year, but he was been consistently with us for a minute. Rashad is working on a career, and he's a car salesman. And then like the hours are a little bit different. So we're excited for him and wishing him luck. And you'll be hearing more prunalysis and all that stuff from him in the future. And shout out to the great Christy Walker. It's
Doctor.
Yes,
Dr. Christy.
Yeah,
I'm
doctor.
sorry. Let me get this right. It's Reverend Dr. Christy Rosa Walker Parks.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Let me get that. Let me make sure that.
She's gonna get you. She's gonna get you.
She's going to get you for that one.
Yes, Reverend Dr. Christy Rosa Walker Parks. She is outstanding. Talk to her. And she's got some podcasts coming out. So you guys be on the aware for that. So we will this year, we are going to break up the commercials a little bit, and we'll be talking about a couple of things in 4 sections. All right, so we'll have our introduction, we'll have our shout outs, we'll talk about what's going on or what happened or anything specific. And then in the next segment, we will talk about the bands that we saw this week. We're not going to be so much analyzing and like being, I don't want to say critical, but just trying to say like, oh, that they did this, they should try to. I want to kind of get away from that and just have more of a discussion about who we saw and more of a discussion. And then in the third segment, it will be open up for, if there's a topic of news or something that was brought up, and we'll get into that today. Again, it'll be more discussion. So you guys in the chat room, you guys are free to just say anything on any section, and then, we'll throw it in there. But again, just kind of getting away from like this band outblew this band or this. I don't want to do that no more. I've starting to meet a lot of directors and make relationships. I don't like saying, oh man, they got crunk on. You know what I'm saying? Unless it was like just obvious. I mean, we'll get to it.
Unless it was obvious.
We'll cross that bridge when we do. I'm just saying I'm kind of getting away from that. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to do that anymore. And
Yeah,
then
I got you. You're maturing a little bit.
yeah,
Growing up. We got professional things going on, you know.
Exactly.
Unless your band got crunk on.
Yeah.
Right.
Then we're gonna talk about you.
Right. That takes everything off the table. That's right.
Right.
Everything.
My bad. But I mean, I want to be honest. I mean, but I guess my main thing was that I thought it was really important to say this band was better than this band, and that's not necessarily the case. All right.
Yeah.
Especially our
But at
discussion
the
today.
same time, I think we should still, give constructive criticism and give advice and things we think that'll improve certain programs.
Right. I definitely agree with that. And see,
Yeah.
you guys are the professionals, so I'll leave it up to y'all. You know what I'm saying? I could make
You let us get the hate mail. That's what you want to do.
No.
I'm used to it. It's okay.
That's all good.
I'll take it.
But I guess that's what I'm saying. I definitely wanted to have it more of a discussion. And the second part is that now we are deemed the old head show. So round of applause for all the old people out there.
Oh.
I didn't know that day was coming so quick. But yeah, this is the older folk show. So shout out to them. All right. So that's a little bit more, and we'll get into it. I'm going to go ahead and do our first round of commercials here, and then we're going to get into our introductions and our shout-outs and our first segment here, and we'll move from there. So, again, shout-out to everybody in the chat room. Shout-out to the great Christy Walker. I think she tuned in before I said anything about her, because she probably would have said something in the chat room about what I said. So, I'm going to go ahead and skate out of here. Let's go ahead and get our first round. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, and we'll go ahead and follow it up. This is the 90 Degree Show 2019. We appreciate you. Go ahead and mute your microphones, and we'll be right back.
Your host, Joe Beard, and the 90 Degree Show will return in a moment.
Band directors, have you ever found yourselves in this situation? Showtime is quickly approaching. Your budget is quickly disappearing. Your music choices are narrowing. The equipment condition is wearing and your stress level is mounting. Stop what you're doing and contact Block Band Music and find out how we've got you. Check www.blockbandmusic.com, providing music, equipment, gear, and accessories to show style, core style, and traditional bands worldwide.
The source for fair and factual information on your favorite college bands, blockusup.com. Well-written articles, in-depth band performance analysis, helpful resources for band directors, fun band-related topics, and exclusive interviews with some of today's brightest and most talented leaders of college marching bands. Visit us at blockusup.com, the meeting place for band fans and band directors.
And now, more of the 90 Degree Show with your host, Joe Beard.
Sorry, you can unmute your microphones. We are back again. Shout out to you. Hello. Let me move my camera up there a little bit. All right, we're back again. Thanks again. So I will give the floor to you guys. I'll go last with everything. And Bridget, you are the lady. So I'll go ahead and let you go first as far as your shout-outs, your intros. I'll go ahead and give you the floor in this first segment. So what's good, Bridget?
Nothing much. I'm going to give a shout. My shout-outs are going to be to all the band directors, near and far, all those who I had opportunities to sit down and chat it up with, sit down and hang out with this summer and over the course of the year 2019. So a special shout out to all the directors I've had a chance to kind of hang out with. So I hate calling schools, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyway. So I spent some good time with let's see, Southern University band director, Kid, doing a great job over there. Also, his assistant Brian Simmons. I had the chance to visit down at Southern University. Is great. They were very hospitable to me, and it was a wonderful time. So shout out to them. Shout out to the Alcorn staff, Alcorn State directors and staff. I had the chance to sit down and talk with Rod Little a little bit this year from Jackson State. Of course, Morgan State band directors. Just band directors near and far. I really appreciate the opportunities. Miles College, they know they're my boys. I always appreciate them. Good luck to them today in that Alabama Battle of the Bands that should be happening shortly. My boy Eddie. Eddie was my senior year, my last year. Eddie was my drum major. I treated him so bad. Sorry, Eddie. Shout out to Eddie. And Eddie now, the Battle of the Bands. I treated him bad. I was a senior. You know how you are. You were a senior. You can't tell me nothing. I was a super senior too. Couldn't tell me nothing. But he withstood the fire. He withstood the fire. He all right with me. But Eddie's doing a great Battle of the Bands down in my home state, Alabama. So he's on a battle of the bands there. So shout out to all those directors down there. All the ones I've had a chance to talk to. Good luck. I've seen some great things. So, yep, those are my shout outs. I'm shouting out all the band directors who I've built really good professional relationships over the last year or so or longer. Good luck to you this season.
That's what's up. A round of applause there.
Joe, look at you with the bald haircut. I see you, Joe. Joe came out with a new look for the new show. I see you.
So okay.
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club.
Thank you, brother. Let's give a round of applause for the club. We're gonna throw that out there. So yeah, I had the LeBron issues, Bridget. It was, I don't know if it's the kids or just my age, but I developed like this lightning bolt thing in the middle of my head.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. So I had to come on home. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's cheaper. It's cheap, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's not so bad.
You got that right.
It's cheaper, man. So okay. So next, I'll go to you, Ernest. I'm looking around. There's people saying stuff in the chat room. What's up, Rashad? I see your shot in there. What's up, you man? Ernest,
all right,
what's up with your shots, man?
All right, man. Well, I've been busy this summer, man. I was a part of a jumpstart program into a music organization that you guys are going to be hearing a lot about this year. I'm not going to talk too much about it because we haven't done our kickoff yet, but I'm the CEO of a music educators association, a new one for the states of South Carolina and Georgia. So you're going to hear a lot about that coming up this year. You're gonna so I shout out to my crew, my e-board and my board of directors and all the members we got signed up before the kickoff, but kind of secretive right now, but you hear a lot about it. Also, man, shout out to all the programs that had a really good, strong start this year. We already had the Houston Battle of the Bands. And I saw a lot of good performances, man. And I was just proud of the culture in general that we were able to pull it together that quick, this early, and we had some good quality performances. So shout out to those directors and those students, man, who participated in not just that Battle of the Bands, but all of the events that have taken place. And if you've had great games so far, great performances on or off campus, man, we see you and we appreciate the hard work. Yeah, we see you. Shout out to Tennessee State University. And I shout out to them just because nobody talks about Tennessee State. They're in that conference that, they don't get to battle the other HBCUs. But they're a quality program every single year. And we don't talk enough about the quality programs, in my opinion, that are doing all the right things. We just talk about the matchups, and exciting battles. But what about those programs that are strong programs? Tennessee State, Morgan State, that don't necessarily see those matchups on a regular. So shout out to those programs that are still handling business and still doing what they're supposed to do, even though their schedules may not look as entertaining or exciting as some of the other programs in the culture. Uh, Shout out to Eddie Ellis, kicking off his second year at Allen University, and they got their weight up this year, and they're looking and sounding good already. They got some room for improvement, but for year two, they're doing some awesome things. Awesome. Um, Shout out to all the band programs in Houston, man. I just left Houston, moved to Georgia, moved back to Georgia, but I had a great stint with all the directors and in Houston. Shout out to David White, curriculum instructor for music educators, instrumental in the school district. Really helpful, man. Learned a lot in Houston, and it was a great experience. So I'm glad to be back on the East Coast. Glad to be back close to the family, but excited about the year, man.
That's what's up, man. And I should have said it like how you said it. Like you said, what we talked the matchups. What about the program? Illuminate the program. See, I should have said it like that,
Mm.
but that's what I was trying to say. You know what I'm saying? You know,
I feel you, bro. I feel you.
yeah.
That's why I'm here with you. I'm with
That's
you.
cool, man. And congratulations. You guys know, or for those who don't know, Eddie Ernest, is now moved to Georgia. Are you in the Atlanta area?
Well, I'm in the Macon area.
Okay.
Macon, it's about 45 minutes south of Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. And
I'm in the country a little bit.
okay.
And
Okay.
it's nice out here. Good tax rate.
Yeah. Right. I'm about to say. I'm starting to get into understanding about lesson. I don't want to be living in all that the action. When you're younger, you
Exactly.
worry about that. Uh, but that's what's up, man. Congratulations to you. So for my little shout outs, I got a couple of them. First, I want to give a shout out to the two of you. Let me give you a round of applause. Ernest and Bridget. That's my first one. All right, and then my second one is shout out to my college co-worker, teammate, co-sponsor now, Janetta Powell of the great Bull City Music School and Store. I got her shirt on, and I wore her shirt one other time before. Hold on, let me go to the other cameras. Y'all see my shirt. Yeah, my shirt. All right. Oh wait, here you go. Janetta is one of the new sponsors to the show, to the network. She's gonna be helping us out, especially kick off with the National Signing Day for marching bands. So we're always excited to bring new sponsors on. Janetta is doing her thing. She has two locations now. She first started out with one, and now she's got two. And we also chopped it up with her on this very network. So to hear her story and to hear how she got there, you guys go chop it up with Janetta Powell Smith. You have to excuse me, the women that get married. I don't mean no disrespect, but it's just like the maiden names just roll out because you remember from school. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so shout out to her and all she's doing, and thanks again. Thanks for your support. Second, I want to give a shout out to all the show style talk guys: Marcus, Travis. Who else I'm getting? It's Marcus, Travis, Adrian, and is there somebody? I'm trying to think of somebody else. But shout out to them. Shout out to Eddie. Shout out to the Rogers brothers, what they're doing with the Nationals, Battle of the Bands, all the stuff that I wish I could do out here in California. They did it quick. They were able to take this media and what they're doing, and now they transferred it to some dollars. I saw a IG pic, a photo of Brandon and Travis holding a big check. I think it was like for $80,000 or something like that.
Wow.
So shout out to them.
That's what's up.
Yeah, yeah, we capitalizing now. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
now we got the craft. So now it's about to turn over. So hopefully, they'll come out to California and do the same thing. But I wanted to give them a shot because that's impressive, and to me it happened fast. It seemed like they got all that stuff together like really really quick. So shout out to all of them. I don't know if excuse me if I'm missing something. I know Adrian, Marcus, Travis, and if I'm forgetting somebody, excuse me. But yeah, I appreciate that, you guys. And then of course, Brandon and Javante, and then Eddie. I don't know if I said Eddie. Eddie's got his thing going on today. It's the Battle of Birmingham. So that's really cool because I've seen him. He's been doing the little promo clips with each director, and so like that's the serious battle going on right now. So shout out to Eddie and shout out to all the people doing the media stuff, Showtime Web, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
I feel like we're expanding from when I first
Yeah.
started doing the show in 2012. I feel like we're actually capitalizing on things. So I
Yeah.
think we're moving in the right direction. So
With good quality too. Good quality stuff is out
with
there
good
now.
quality. So as they say, give yourselves a round of applause. There you go. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you very much. All right. So I got some more. Uh, Real quick, Kelly Charles, fan of the show. I always appreciate her because she's like my favorite person that called in to the show. I used again had that issue about maybe throwing some shade out there, certain bands. I was talking about Grambling one time, and let me tell you, she did not like that. So she called me, and so well, she hit me up on Facebook and was letting me have it. And then I went to sleep. I went to sleep that night and woke up the next morning. And I woke up. You know how you wake up and check everything. She had just left a message like she was still going in. So I was like, you know what? From now on, I will never say anything wrong. So I actually brought her on the show. She and I both share the same degrees. She has her undergrad in history, master's in geography. She's now in Kansas City. She took a new job in Kansas City. She left Houston. So shout out to her because I know the weather's different. But she's
Yeah.
doing big, and she's really supported when we went on NBC. So I always have a special place for Kelly because she looked out for me, and she did a show with us one time as well too. So shout out to
Oh.
her. Birthdays, birthdays. Look at birthday September. So we got a couple of birthdays. I want to shout out. So our very own Bridget Bell turned 20.
Eh,
What? That's
Yes,
right. That's
round of
right.
applause.
yeah.
Very good.
That's right.
Bridget turned 22. Was that
Yes, that's
yesterday?
right.
That's right.
That's right. Yes.
She's
Yes.
22. So shout out to Bridget. All right. Our very own
You.
Christy Walker. Uh, I think she's about 23, 20. She's one of the two. Her birthday was Wednesday. Wednesday of 9/11. That's also our birthday anniversary here for the network. So that's 2011. So we're still doing things. My birthday is this upcoming Wednesday, the 18th. Uh,
Happy birthday.
Hey,
thank you, thank
birthday,
you,
my brother.
thank you. And Adrian from the Show Style Talk guys, his birthday is today. My boy Darian's birthday. September is just where it's at.
Wow.
Know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't even know
Virgo
what to say.
season.
You know what I'm saying?
Virgo season.
And my son is the 23rd. But yeah, birthdays, y'all. And I think that's it. I did want to say something about one other thing on Twitter, but I kind of see how the clock is going, so kind of we'll get through there. I see folks in the chat room. Shout out to the chat room. Hold on, let me give the chat room round.
Chat room
Yeah.
chopping it up.
Shout out to them. I always like the folks in the chat room and some really good people with some really good stories. Actually, we got like a really good resource of people in the chat room. So shout out to all you guys. Anything you guys want to say during the show, go ahead and we'll bring it up. All right. Uh, let's see here. I guess that's it for us. Shout outs to everything. I guess I asked you guys. We'll take another little sponsor break, and then I ask you guys who you guys have seen this year. And I'm sure that'll kind of roll into our last conversation. Our discussion today is going to be about small bands and large bands. Ernest did a couple of articles talking about it on Block Us Up band blog about
Hmm.
how you guys feel about the small bands or how you feel about the large bands. It's a pretty good topic. I feel I'm a man of the small bands myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I fluctuate though. You know what I'm saying?
You
So I do,
do.
yeah. So all right, thanks, Major Payne. Major Payne said we sound good. Thank the Lord. What's up, brother Chisholm? Brother Chisholm, what's up, brother? Good to see you in there.
Hey, all right.
And yeah, all right, y'all. So let me do the next commercials. And then I asked you guys about how you, the bands you've seen, how you feel about the year going so far. The 90 Degree Show, welcome back. You guys mute your microphones, and we'll hear from our next two sponsors. Again, appreciate you listening.
Your host, Joe Beard, and the 90 Degree Show will return in a moment.
Hello, everyone. This is Joe Beard from the Marching Podcast. Is your school, club, or organization looking for high-quality decorated apparel to outfit your students, staff, club, or team? Tired of the same old boring white t-shirt? Are you in charge of the upcoming fundraiser or special event but don't really have time to troll the internet for ideas or compare products? SAY can help with design and product selection. We can even assist with ideas on conducting an effective fundraising program. SAY can help you save time and get your message heard. So call 1-800-975-3156. SAY Marketing and Promotions.
Give your brand a voice.
If you're thinking about buying or selling real estate in the Southern California area, please contact Kevin Peete of Remax Patriots. He will meet and exceed all of your needs. You can contact Kevin at 951-858-5942. That's 951-858-5942. Or you can email Kevin at kpsaleshomes@sbcglobal.net. That's KP, his initials, Kevin Peete, KP Sales Homes, all one word, at sbcglobal.net. Thanks again.
And now, more of the 90 Degree Show with your host, Joe Beard.
All right, you guys can unmute your microphones. We are back. I saw you, Bridget. Yeah, I was trying to get out, and you had jumped out. Yeah, it was like, oh snaps! You was you was in a hurry or something. So yeah.
I was trying to get my my charger. I didn't even know. I thought the camera was off.
Me too.
I was like, oh, let me hurry up and get my charger on the break.
That's what's up. All right, y'all. So we're back, and thanks again for listening. So in this segment, this third segment here, I wanted to ask you guys, or second segment, I want to ask you who you seen, what you think about the band year so far, thoughts about that. So again, Bridget, I'll let you go first. Who have you seen this year so far?
Look, I ain't going first every time either. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But I'm gonna go ahead and go first now.
All right, break me down. Round of applause.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, let me know.
You like, first of all.
Right.
First of all. So, thanks to the media leaks, which is a whole nother conversation. Thanks to the media leaks and the Battle of the Bands, we've seen quite a few bands via social media, which I know isn't the real deal. Band directors, I know, when we see you, it's totally different. But let me start with this. So the media leaks during Bandcamp was kind of off the chain.
Yeah.
And a lot of the directors didn't like it. And I don't think I blame them. Like, don't show up to my rehearsal with a camera and then leak my stuff and have people online kind of smashing me. Like, I feel some kind of way about that. I think there is, and that's probably a whole nother conversation to have. I think there is some kind of permission you need to be granted to video somebody's band, especially when you're on their territory. That's just my thing. And it kind of steps on their media team's territory. But with that said, I had to throw that in there. I've seen quite a few bands, and let me say this: for the most part, these band directors have been hitting the pavement recruiting this year. That's one thing I can see. Pretty much everybody has boosted up in numbers. I have some disappointments, but I'm not even going to go there right now. But I'm really pleased with the numbers that I'm seeing, just getting bodies into school. So we're going to have this small band, big band conversation. So it's not even about that, but just the fact that you're getting these kids in school, giving them opportunity, then that's really kind of exciting to me. So I've seen, let me go down the East Coast. I've seen Morgan, of course. I've seen Howard. I've seen Hampton. I've seen Norfolk. Norfolk is probably my Woho baby band this year. Like, bring it. Like, they was bringing it. And they kind of slip under the radar, but Norfolk is one of those bands, like, don't let them catch you. Don't let them catch you sleeping, because they're going to hit you all up in the mouth. Like, that's my band right there. A&T, I've seen some footage, but not probably as much as I wanted to see. I've probably kind of been low key not looking at their footage. Sorry, Christy, but I haven't really seen a whole lot of A&T. Of course, everybody who was at the Houston Battle of the Bands. One of the things that the merger things this year, as I know originally that's a Jackson State term, but everybody's having these kind of merger things kind of going on this year. The merger things were interesting this year. Let me tell you something. So I saw Jackson State's merger. Let me tell you, them freshmen was giving upperclassmen all they wanted. When I tell you, like, I was like, oh, if that's any indication of what the season's gonna be, I couldn't be crabbing in a Jackson State band right now because they wouldn't be able to tell me nothing. You hear me? I was like, nah. Did you see that? Did you see that footage? Like, nah, bro. You do what? Okay, let's play for it. That'll be my conversation. You want me to do what? Let's play for it. Let's see how to do it. But no, with that said, Jackson State always, I mean, they're really coming out the box with a good sound. Somebody mentioned, I think Ernest mentioned Tennessee State. Tennessee State looking good. The other old baby band this year for me is Prairie View. Prairie View sounds great. I don't know what they on over there in Texas, but Prairie View sounds really, really good. I like the changes that I see in Southern's program. It's going to be an adjustment for some people because they're not always in your face. That's a different change. But I think Southern is going in the right direction. I've seen Texas Southern, no comment. I've seen Talladega, no comment. I've seen Miles. College, and Miles has some good things, really get some good things going on. Shout out to the changes in the auxiliary. It's so obvious their auxiliary stuff has changed, and it's really adding to the show. I saw North Carolina Central.
Bridget, hold on. I'm sorry. I was a little behind on the sound effects. Free the Gats. Free the Gats for 2019. Just real quick, everybody. Free the Gats, y'all.
What show fired about?
There was a little shot. I mean, it was just but I just had because that's one of my favorite graphics. So shout out to the chat room, all the people watching. Free the Gats, y'all. Y'all be seeing her more.
Oh my God!
All right, please continue.
North Carolina Central, let me tell you, and that's one of the, everybody's like, what's the smaller band doing here kind of thing. That's part of that conversation we have to have. Let me tell you, North Carolina Central did a great job at the Houston Battle of the Band. I thought they did a good job, and I don't give positive comments all the time to North Carolina Central fans, so they work my nerves. But I'm going to tell you, they put out a quality product. They do. They work my nerves, and so I'll give them a hard time. I know I do. But North Carolina Central sounded good, and everyone was like, they were kind of mismatched. No, if you're gonna be the best one, you got to play with the best. And because they're a smaller band, didn't mean they didn't belong there. Mm-hmm. So I think I've covered most of the bands that I've seen. Alabama A&M always sounding good. Alabama State is a different band this year. I don't know what's going on over there, but they're sounding better than I've heard them in some time. Mm-hmm. They're a different band. Alabama A&M has been on the uptake for a minute. Alabama A&M sounds really good sounding band. So I've seen probably more bands than I care to see already this season. But I'm seeing some great things. You know, I'm excited for the things that I'm seeing. I saw FAMU, and you know they got their numbers up again, but you know that's another one of them almost no comment things. Yeah, I still don't believe FAMU.
I got some comments on that.
Yeah, I'm not a believer yet. Yeah. And we saw Cookman. You know, we've seen quite a few bands already thanks to social media. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm not going to take up all the time, but those are the ones that I've seen.
That's what's up. Ernest, who have you seen this year, man?
Yeah, man, Bridget hit on a lot of what I was going to touch on. So I'm going to piggyback off of what she said. But Prairie View has been a breath of fresh air this year. They're always solid, but they are really doing some different things this year, man. Their aggression, their intensity, they have a certain aggressiveness about them this year. Almost like they have to prove something to somebody. I don't know. But shout out to B-Hop, my boy B-Hop, the ranger over there, man. They're doing some big things at Prairie View. I was also impressed with Cookman's camp footage. Like she said, I saw a lot of footage sleeping out. I saw Cookman doing their little pre-season warm-up footage or whatever in FAMU, and it all sounds good. But and some of that was put out by the band staff, and that may bring out another discussion. Like, should you even be putting that stuff out? You know, like before the season starts. Even if the band sounds good, and you need the publicity, you want your band, sounding good on social media, of course, but I don't know, man. I'm like, save it for the field is what I say. Save it for the stadium. Save it for, all that extra footage. And then when people who don't like you are going to hate anyway, they're going to get on there and talk about every nitpick and talk about every little thing. And you in a rehearsal situation. So it's almost unfair. It's unfair to the students to do that. But that's another story. I was impressed with a lot of the bands at the Houston Battle of the Bands. Prairie View is my favorite, but I was impressed with all of them. Central held it down for their size. Shout out the Hollands over there. But I wasn't. I guess there were some bands that I was not impressed with, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Since we on the positive note this year.
My bad, y'all. I
but
done messed it up.
but most of the bands did perform well, and I kind of touched on that in my intro, that a lot of the bands, man, just can't come out the gate this year swinging. The band directors have been working, kids have been focused. It seems like there's an excitement about this year. There has been some growth in a lot of programs. My alma mater have seen a decline in numbers, which I can't figure out for the life of me why that's so. But the quality has not left. So, and then we can touch on that on the small band, big band issue, because a lot of these bands who go through these growth patterns, we automatically give them almost like a aha, like, oh, okay, a nod. And if someone takes a dip in their numbers, we automatically say, well, what's going on? Something's wrong, And why is that? It's almost like it's natural. It's a natural human tendency to do that. But and I'm trying to fight that this year, because a lot of bands have gotten their weight up, but some have not. And I think it's unfair to those groups who may have just maintained their numbers for us to give them, kind of ignore their progress and just automatically look at the bands like Langston. They came out of nowhere with I don't know, a couple hundred kids out there now. And like I said, I'm going to touch on that later too. But numbers don't always make you a better band, as we know. It's a lot goes into making your band quote unquote good, and numbers help and make it easy. But sometimes the easiest route is not the best route, and sometimes some of these big bands need to treat their bands like they're small bands, so they can get the best product. That's all I'm gonna say on that. But yeah, I saw a lot of good bands. Cookman is solid this year. Tennessee State is solid. Norfolk State is a rock. Shout out to their band director. I think she's a female band director and holding it down, man. I'm so impressed with Norfolk this year. There's not a lot of females.
The funny part is she's actually the assistant. Stephanie is actually the assistant.
Everybody blowing her up like she's.
But when I tell you, but she is and she's gonna kill me for saying this, but she is that solid piece that Norfolk has always had. Like, she is, not to hate discredit their band director, but really Stephanie is that she is the rock for that program.
Wow.
Yeah, but she's the assistant. Yep.
I didn't know that. Just like from following on social media, everyone just talks about her. So
she's amazing. She's amazing.
Yeah. I gotta meet her, man. But yeah, I was impressed with them out the gate this year. North Carolina A&T is solid as usual. Their quality has not gone down in the least bit. A lot of our bands did these performances this year where they performed in front of these big PWI audiences. And North Carolina A&T was one of them. And I love when that happens, because we get to take the culture to a different audience, and they appreciate it. They always appreciate it. But when our bands show up and we're at our best, that's what I love it. I love when Southern does it early in the season. I love when I see A&T do it. And I was just real impressed with their performance at, I think it was like University of Mississippi or something like that, or somewhere they were. But they had a solid showing, man. Y'all need to check those clips out. But shout out to A&T. But I just came out the SWAC, so I was out in Houston. So a lot of these bands I'm used to following are from the SWAC now. So and I'm a MEAC guy, but I was impressed with Jackson State. Just like Bridget said, man, their freshmen is crazy this year. If they don't continue to impress me throughout the year, I'll be disappointed because they had such a strong start. I mean, nobody couldn't tell me that Jackson State was not going to be the rock of the season based off of their crab class. So we'll see. It remains to be seen. But shout out to them, man. They really doing the thing. And Joe, don't even try to blow it up. But yeah, Jackson State's doing all right. But nah, man, South Carolina State, we took a dip in numbers this year, but the quality remains. We got a clip that was featured on the Shade Room, so shout out to that, to the band staff at South Carolina State, Mr. Moore and Albert and all the cats there. And that's really all I got to say about it. I did see a lot of bands, but those are a few.
That's what's up, man. Me myself, you know what I mean. And make sure. All right, there you go. Me myself, I didn't see. I'm starting now to kind of look and maybe appreciate like what I'm watching. Whereas before, we were like, oh man, what are we gonna talk about this week? So I was kind of rushing to like watch it and kind of rushing to kind of critique it or whatever. So this year I kind of been able to chill and watch it at my own leisure, which has been pretty cool. And I've seen most of. I saw most of the national battle of the bands out there in Houston, and I saw a lot of people on the polls. Like they have those polls and stuff, and a lot of people said that they felt like Prairie View was the best. I wonder if that was like the overall consensus. I did mostly see who I was really paying attention to was Florida A&M for obvious reasons, because they've been down and out for a while, and it seems like
Not down and out.
yeah, and it seems like they
Sick
got
and
their
shut unless they're on the sick. He sound like they're on the church. Sick and
I
shut.
meant to say something about Florida A&M too. Yeah.
I myself, I've never been a fan of like how big they are, and then like over the last couple years, I was like, man, I like how they are now. You know what I mean? Like I guess over 100 some wins or whatever. But now it seems like they're getting back to that big size, and so I've never really been a fan of any of their shows, like because they got so many people. I just don't care for that. But they sound really really good though. I even saw Christy when she said something about it. I think on her Facebook page, talking about like that they were back. But that performance, well, not the performance, but the sound, how they were on the field, and then they had the little snippets of like battles here and there. I saw some of those, but Fam sounds really good, man. And it's kind of like one of those things where, like, if you want the Lakers and the Yankees, that you want them teams to do well because it seems like the media and the sports do well. I definitely feel that way with Fam. I feel like when Fam was down, maybe some other schools came up, but now let's say if we consider them back, it's definitely gonna make things interesting. Especially
Right.
with them and A&T or whoever else they battle. So I was glad to see
Yeah.
that. Still not a fan of their drill, but they sounded really, really good. And then the
I think
other one,
that seems to be the general consensus. Like people like their sound, but they don't like their drills.
yeah,
And that's what I was going to talk about because that's what Dr. White was known for, and that's what's missing from the 100 right now. When you look at Fam, it seems like something's missing. That mystique is not the same.
uh-oh. We lost
We lost
Ernest.
Ernest.
I know we lost
Real
Ernest.
because
There you
There you
go.
go.
Dr. White used to he was a master at all those big surprises. Those making the train float down the field and the smoke come out of it and animating those things and shooting the basketball hoop. All that was Dr. White. So that's missing. Fam doesn't have that anymore. You can tell that there's no big finish with fam anymore. There was always something that they did. You know, take out the towels and get in a helicopter and leave it on the field. You know, something crazy that they used to always do. That it's not the same anymore. The sound is there, but the rest of it is not.
I have to say that they could probably, and I don't know nothing because I'm not a fan. But they should focus on their sound because what I was gonna say. Well, the only other thing I was gonna say was I was agreeing with you, Bridget. With the freshmen at Jackson State, I think they're coming in, especially with all the attention is getting out. Freshmen are coming in now wanting to challenge the upperclassmen. In '97, we were scared. Like we were like, I mean, we would like hype ourselves up to play against them, but then when they marched out there and it was like 400 of them, it was scary. And then so the whole mood of the thing is like different now. So I appreciate that the freshmen are coming in with a little bit more confidence, because they said that
Absolutely.
our freshman class was good, of course, but I mean we were totally scared to merge up with the upper class. It was a different thing. But the only other thing I had wanted to say to you guys about FAM was the animations. I saw that they did like that horse or whatever it was in Houston. Um, I kind of wanted to ask you guys about that before we get into the discussion. But the animations are starting to suck. Like they're really they're really not. I don't really like. I'll say Ernest. You can't hear us, man. Ernest said he can't hear us. I don't know if it's on my side. It might be. I don't know, Ernest.
Yeah, he just went out.
Yeah, yeah, he got something going on. But Bridget, yeah, I was. I don't know, and we'll probably see what Ernest says when he comes back. But I'm not. It doesn't look like it. You know what I'm saying? Like the stick figure. Like I don't like seeing stick figures. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't like that. The horse that fam, like the formation, it looked good, but then they were. I guess the horse was like trying to walk, and it didn't look right. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's starting to be like I don't really care for that. You know what I mean? Uh, hold on. I think is Ernest trying to come back in, man? We got something going on. Hold on. I think I'm gonna have to try to call Ernest. We got some technical difficulties, y'all. We live. Hold on. Let me try to call Ernest, y'all. All right, Britt, you still there? Oh, am I the only person here? Hold on, y'all. All right, we got Ernest back.
All right, I'm back.
All right, hold on, y'all. We got these technical difficulties. All right, hold on, Bridget. Let me
Yeah,
call Bridget.
yeah, that's all right. We just knocking the cobwebs out.
Hopefully, I ain't got to do all the camera stuff over again because that's a pain in the ass. Okay, Bridget join. All right, okay, okay.
All
All
right,
right, y'all, we
good.
back. Hold on. All right, let me go back to the camera, y'all. They can hear it, but
All right.
oh, nice. Okay, hopefully I ain't got to redo the cameras. Please, Lord. Yeah. All right. Nice. All right, we back. Uh oh. I just give you just a little excited music right there. All right. All right, y'all, we back. So yeah, I think um Ernest, what I had said, like right when you left, was the animations. I didn't really
Yeah.
care. And I ain't gonna lie, man. I thought about you. I ain't gonna lie. Every time I see a stick figure, I'm always thinking, oh, there you go.
Every time somebody put a stick figure out there, nah.
There you go. I'm getting my buttons. I'm getting my buttons. So yeah, so the stick figure. I was talking about fam. They made that horse, and then it was supposed to be walking or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we got to tell some people or something. These animations, man, they not. That ain't hot. Like it's not. And I'm like you say, remaining positive, but like that's not tight. Like stick figures, like that's not tight. Like please don't do that anymore, everyone. I mean, it's
Nah,
just a
yeah.
suggestion. It's just feedback. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
We're in that era now that if you're gonna put some, you're gonna animate something, you have to make it at least dimensional.
It's got to be not. I mean, it's got to like look right. And for me, like a
Right.
stick figure,
A stick
that's
figure. It's
not.
like,
I don't care for that. Like you know what I'm saying? I did have a little joke, and I was gonna say instead of stick figures, we can start calling them Nelson Mandela. So that was Nelson Mandela. That was on the thing.
nah, nah, let's leave Mandela out of this.
Yeah, man. No,
Nah.
shout out to South Carolina State, man. We give because we love. That's what it is. That's what it is. But no, man. That was something that just stood out at me was
Yeah.
the animation. All right. Someone from A&M, Alabama A&M says they applaud fam for at least attempting the figures. A lot of schools just stick to boring pinwheels and diagonals. That's
That's
true.
true.
But I mean, hey,
True.
the attempt it
Yeah.
only goes so much, brother. You know what I'm saying? It
But
still got to come out
yeah.
looking right. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody has to take the culture to whatever the next thing is, whatever that is, because we've been doing these pinwheels and slants for 60, 70 years now,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know how much longer that's going to be entertaining to an audience. I mean, I don't know. you know
It's a
Somebody
good
has to
point.
do something.
It's a good
Yeah.
point. I think Jackson State does a good job with their drills. You guys, they actually had a really good drill yesterday. I saw their show yesterday against Tennessee State, and I mean, but they're always doing good drills. But yeah, when I think about some innovative stuff or Southern or something, we definitely want to get back. But just the stick figures, the animations, I don't know, man. I'm starting to be like, I don't really want to see that anymore. Um, all right, y'all. We could go. Let me go to the last commercial break, and we'll come back and talk about a small band, little band, and then we'll wrap out the show. Getting around an hour here, so we'll go ahead and move things along. You listening to the 90 Degree Show? You can mute your microphones, and we'll come back after the last two sponsors. All right. Thanks again for listening.
Your host, Joe Beard, and the 90 Degree Show will return in a moment.
You want the best barbecue around? Smokey O's coming to your town. Ribs, chopped beef, baked potatoes too. Smokey O's know what's good for you. You want the best barbecue around? Smokey O's coming to your town. Ribs, chopped beef, baked potatoes too. Smokey O's know what's good for you. Smokey O's. Come check us out.
Hey, this your boy Brandon,
and Javante,
and we the
Rogers
Rogers Bros. And you rockin' with my man Joe Big.
for the Marching Podcast.
Yeah.
This is Curtis from 80minutesofregulation.com. From referees whistle to drum majors whistle and back, your source for sports and marching and athletic music. You're listening to the 90 Degree Show on the Marching Podcast Network.
And now, more of the 90 Degree Show with your host, Joe Beard.
All right, we are back from commercial break. You guys can unmute your microphones. So the other sponsor here we have here, again, let me get over here. We got a. Or we got. I'm about to say we had a feedback. But real quick, the other one we haven't got the commercial set up for it, but the other one is Bull City Music School. Again, with the great Janetta Powell Smith. You can go to her website at bullcitymusicschool.com. That's Bull City and then music school, all one word.com. She's now Bull City Music School and Store because she is not only providing lessons, but you can go to her and get your instruments too. All right, so Janetta's doing
Nice.
good things. And then let
Hmm.
me make sure I get the phone number right here. And hold on. Let me. So, y'all make sure y'all contact Janetta and tell her the Marching Podcast sent you at 919-423-5701. That's in Durham, North Carolina, and she's down there at the bottom too on our little sponsor ticker. All right, and again, you can check out the show, chopping it up with Janetta Powell Smith, so you can hear her bio and where she is and where she's from, for any background information about her. All right. All right, so this last topic I want to get to is about small band versus the bigger band, and I know we've had many levels of this discussion
Hmm.
before, but I wanted to kind of talk about it as we're getting to it to this year. I feel like there's a lot of parity in our craft. That's how I feel
Hmm.
right now. I think that a lot of schools are getting better. I do agree with you guys about the social media thing, and I'm changing so much, Bridget and Ernest. At first, I was like all about the social media. Like I want to see a band. If you practicing and somehow I want to see it. However, like I was only saying that because I'm way out here and like I don't have it around. But now when people are coming out saying, I think brother Drain, shout out to you, Gregory Drain, shout out to you, dog, up at Penn State. He was
Yep.
saying like, yo, maybe the director doesn't want to see that. Like maybe he wants to wait till the last game
Hmm.
before you see everything. He's like, now you step out there and like. We did a parade and it's all over the network. He was like, man, I didn't even have tubas that day. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Right. Right.
so I get that.
Mhm.
So I kind of want to turn over see what you guys say. Ernest, again, you guys make sure you follow his blog. Had a discussion about big bands and little bands. All right. So
Yeah.
I've kind of changed my tune about that. And if a media team, whatever they put out there, that's up to them. But of course, how you guys feel about the year. So we have another ranking poll. Undefeated again is putting out the new poll saying, top bands, and there's a large band division, and then there's a small band division. And then they're rating the bands each week and all that stuff like that. So I'll give it to you, Ernest, because I don't want Bridget to go first all the time. All right, you know what I'm saying? I want to give it to you.
Man.
How do you feel about the discussion as far as smaller bands, and are one of these smaller bands one of the best bands right now? Can we speak?
It's like this, bro. I think as especially Bridget and I, as music educators, we have to preach quality over quantity because we know that, it's about the quality at the end of the day. However, Joe Sixpack in the stands, that's who we're performing for. As a marching band director, your audience is the people in the stand. So they get the last say. So they get the ultimate say when it comes to marching band. We can say quality over quantity, and we got to work hard, and we got to know these concepts and this musicianship and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, it's those people in the crowd that gets the last say on whether or not they're going to put your band on a pedestal or not. And I see a lot of hypocrisy, and it comes from us in the music field, and it comes from people in the general audience. And what I want to do is I want to pose a challenge today. I want to pose this challenge to you, Joe, and Bridget first, and everybody in the chat room. And the challenge is: have you ever put a band that's smaller than a Block 96, winds and percussion? in your top three bands of all time? Have you ever put a band that's less than 96 wins in percussion in your top three?
So
Me, me
so
personally, I have not ever.
so like when you be like, man, who you think is like the best program? Because that's an
Right.
interesting question. Is it programs or like are you talking about like band like out there or
No,
both?
I'm talking about marching band.
Okay, okay,
I'm talking about who have you ever put a marching band that's less than 96 people in your top three? Now, some of us have marched in small band, you know, and of course you're gonna up yourself, but discounting your program and you're talking about programs that you like. Have any of the programs that you like been less than 96 people?
Bridget, what you think, Bridget?
Yeah, yeah. He gave the qualifier because I was gonna say yeah because I marched in a band that I always put up. But you gave the qualifier. When you gave that qualifier, it changed my whole scenario. And the answer is no, because there hasn't. I'm really trying to think. When I think about my favorite all time bands, and for me, honestly, let me tell you this: because I march in a smaller program, it's never been about size for me. It's about the product they put on the field. So anybody will tell you who knows me well that Norfolk has been one of my top bands, and their numbers go up and down, they fluctuate, but I like their style, I like their precision, I like who they are. They've always been one of my top bands, and so it's not always about the numbers, but the numbers. But we have to be honest, the numbers do make a difference. And if I think about it, there's not, but beyond my own band, Morgan State, there's no other band that I've ever put in my top. Because the other smaller bands usually are rival bands to us. So if I'm thinking about it, like I would never put Howard and Delaware State anywhere in ranking because they're our rivals, like ever. And they're when I'm thinking about smaller bands, I'm thinking about them. I'm thinking about some of the SIAC bands, and honestly, I can't really say that I've put any band under 100 instrumentalists in my top pick. Now, individual battles, have I called a smaller band over a big one? Absolutely, I've done that before. But in my all-time favorite, no, they wouldn't go in my all-time. My top three all-time favorite bands. Ooh, I hate even doing that because then people are gonna be mad when I say it. But I told you one of them is Norfolk. But
Here comes the
I
hate
have some.
mail.
Yeah, here come the hate mail. But I have some top all-time programs, and in most cases, they're marching close to 200. Those bands that are in my top.
Hmm.
I agree. I thought about that too. I because I grew up at in Jackson State because my dad went there. I didn't want to be I didn't like Jackson State because I wanted to be different.
Hmm.
So that was part of the reason. Well, I originally went to Hampton and check out Christy's
Really,
podcast. Yeah, check out Christy's
I didn't know that,
podcast.
Joe.
Yeah,
I
I didn't
didn't
know
know
man.
that.
that either.
Yeah,
All I knew was John C. Smith.
yeah. I don't know if I put it out there on my show, but yes, I was originally at Hampton and talked to the great Barney Smart, and
Okay.
yeah, I got in trouble at the pre-college, and they sent me home.
They sent
Check
you
out
Oh.
Christy Walker's podcast because I finally got the nerve to tell the story about what happened. I've told a couple people on the phone, but I've never said what happened on the air. I don't want to do it right now.
You got to tell it on your own show first.
Yeah, no, 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 no.
Oh,
I don't want to
okay.
do that. I want Christy to have the exclusive because we got to talking
Okay.
and it kind of came out, and I was like, damn, I can't believe I just told that. So, but yes, Hampton, and then of course you remember I was at Johnson C. Smith, so that's how I
Yeah.
ended up at Johnson C. Smith. I was super East Coast. I like Wu Tang, you know what I'm saying? So I was trying to be on the East Coast, but I wanted to be in a smaller band. I guess I know I
Hmm.
went full circle with it, but yeah, I wanted to be in a smaller band because I didn't like the Fams and the Jackson States because I thought they were bigger. And then when I was part of the smaller band, I was scared and I was like, I got to get out of here. I want to be in a bigger band. It was just the feeling of showing up and nobody being at the games, and maybe
Right.
maybe that has something. Maybe that was not so much of a smaller band thing, but maybe just because it wasn't
A
a
smaller school.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think maybe Texas Southern sometimes they may classify as a smaller band that I would put up there. But nah, man, I meet like Jackson State Southern fam, like boom, like that's just immediately what comes out because I think the numbers kind of there's something there's an allure to it. You know what I mean? That the small bands
Mhm.
they just don't have.
And and you know what? Our terminology, like when we talk to each other, we say a band has fallen off if they got smaller. Like we ain't even heard them play yet, but if they lose numbers, we say they fell off. Why is that?
And it's the same thing that we do. Oh, they're on the come up because they look at all of
Yeah,
a sudden
exactly.
Langston is an entity. All of a sudden they're relevant because their numbers went up a
Yep,
little bit. So we do the same thing like, oh, they're relevant now. Why? Because they got a few more kids. Hmm.
that's right. That's right.
There are quite a few bands out here that can. There are quite a few bands that prove to us that it's not always about the quantity. Like you can have a big old band and they sound a hot mess because good instruction
That's
is not
right.
happening. And I've seen that this year. There's a couple bands I can think of right off the top. Like I'm like, they have the numbers, but they sound terrible.
Yep.
So it's not even. It's what are you doing with those numbers is the real deal.
Yep. And I've always like I did an article about that about the small bands who stepped up to the challenge, and I cited Stillman, Savannah State when Graham was there, so a number of other programs that were small in number and produced
Yeah,
a solid product. You know
Kentucky
that
State.
yes, Kentucky State that can stand up against anybody's band. But still, we will not rank that band in our top three. And it's mainly because they're a small band. When it comes down to it at the end of the day, you know, there are biases that exist in marching band. And I think size is one of those things in marching band that it kind of goes to your benefit if you have numbers. You know,
Yeah,
even
that's
the slackest big band would get a pass, you know.
a lot of times that's because it's that word, that C word that I hate. Everybody wants to know who cranked on who's the
Mhm.
loudest band. So we stop looking at quality. We're looking at now who is the loudest, and everybody's determining who won based upon who's the loudest, no matter how bad they
Yep.
sound.
Yep. And we're in that era where loud is the measure of your program. Who is the loudest? So if you are a small band, you're definitely not the loudest. You may play better, but you're not going to be louder than anybody. So evidently that kind of eliminates all the small bands from being the best.
Right.
I think one thing that helps is kind of like when they classify as like a smaller band or category and a bigger band. I think that helps some because you at least giving the shine where it's needed. But still,
Yeah.
the average smaller band, even like if they're in a competition with each other, it's just they're not even just gonna look right. You know what I mean? Unless it's a special type of band, to me. Um, but
You got to
yeah,
be one of those programs that have really paid attention to detail. Their marching is on point. Their horn flashes are on point. The horn angles are there. Pant legs above the spat button. Everything is perfect. They're clean. Then you can be like, oh my God, this program is on point. I'm impressed with this small band. But that's what they have to do to be impressive, as opposed to a big band. All they got to do is block up on the sideline. Everybody's like, oh my God,
yeah, yeah, boy, that's that fear. And they call that in sports the bus test, where like a team is judged on how they look coming off the bus. So you looking at your
right.
opponent roll up, and you looking at everybody get off the bus like, oh man, he big. So that's the bus test when you come out and everybody
Yep.
huge getting off the bus. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Yep.
that's what I think about that. But yeah,
Exactly.
it's hard though because I don't know, man. It's like I think about North Carolina Central and Delenn is there, and I like they do like the hybrid styles and stuff like that. I don't know if Jackson State would ever look right trying to do like a hybrid type of thing, like what
Oh
the
no.
things that the smaller bands have to do to look
Yeah.
good. I don't think once they get because the other side of it is just like you said. The two of y'all said y'all got the quality, y'all got the straight pants leg, all that stuff's going on. But that next
Mhm.
year you gonna get bigger. just because people
Mm-hmm.
people you know what I'm saying, people saw you last year, you know.
Yep.
Um, some people in the chat room listed some schools. Some people say Clark in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Edward
I agree.
Waters. I remember Edward
Yep.
Waters in 2014 in Tennessee State. I saw that. Um,
Yep.
they talking about, oh right, they talking about basketball now. Uh, but yeah, I had saw something. I had saw some things in chat room. Some people saying stuff. But yeah, man. I mean, just immediately, I'm already have that larger school. But then I'm gonna say, oh, smaller schools. You know, it'll be this program. But more than likely, it'll
Right.
be those larger schools.
Yeah. If you separate it, then yeah. But you will never put one of those programs in your top three, maybe not even your top five. Um, I don't know. you know.
We'll watch the undefeated, the poll how it goes this year. I know that they just put
And,
out their
and
first
man, I,
post.
th- I think they be trolling. Like I don't think they even believe their list sometimes.
Well, you know, that's funny you say that because we've said something about it every year on the show. So 2 years ago when they did it, it was like, we weren't sure. And then last year they didn't post the panel; they just added the
Uh-huh.
rapper, just because he had a song that sounded like a band. All right. So then this year they posted the panel. Shout out to the great Louis Liddell, my band director Jack. He's on the panel this year.
Okay.
So
Nice.
they're supposed to. They look at halftime shows on a video, and then they're supposed to then judge it through their criteria. And then they have a large school category and then a smaller school category. Jackson State was number one on the large schools, and then Winston Salem State was number one for the small schools. Shout out to another great Doctor Michael Magruder, dog,
Oh yeah.
dog,
Oh yeah.
Shante dog, and he was my band director at Jackson State as well. So I was happy to see that name up there, but I guess we'll see how it goes throughout the year. Like you said, I've just
But
never been a fan of it.
bruh, when it comes, man, come on now. In the small band category, I would not put Winston Salem State anywhere close to the top of that list. And I'm not hating on Winston Salem State. It's just that they're not better than a lot of the small bands that are out there, and then that's on the field and off the field. You know, and almost like I asked, what are they looking at? Maybe it's a different criteria. You know
It's who
that
you
that
know, Ernest. It's who you know.
I
It's
guess
all the connections.
that's what it is.
It's who
Ain't
you know.
no
You
way.
just said it, and Joe just said it when he said that Dr. Magruder was at Jackson State.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's about who you know. So a lot of times bands don't make it on the list because they're not connected. So they don't know that who would know to look for Winston Salem if Dr. Magruder wasn't there. They wouldn't
Right.
know really to look for them, but they know him from Jackson State, and look who's on the panel. And that happens when I tell you that happens so often. So often it's about the connections that we made. That we saw that happen with Honda, the last Honda we had. It's no way in the world Hampton should have been at that last Honda. But it's about
All
who
right.
you know. Everybody pulled for their boy to get in there because it's about who you know. Yes, I'm hating a little bit because you got to put in your time. I think you need to put in your time too. That's another conversation. But the bottom line is they're making these polls based upon their friends. Whoever's on their poll, their band gonna end up on there at some point. If they're from FAMU, they're gonna end up on there, and they're gonna overlook quite a few bands because they're not connected with those programs. That's the same thing that happens to Tennessee State all the time. Tennessee State is
All the
solid, but they
time.
get overlooked.
Yep. All the time, man. Norfolk State gets overlooked. Morgan State gets
Yeah.
overlooked. A lot of bands that are solid and get overlooked all the time. You know, you're right.
I like Norfolk State now because I grew up in St. Louis and more swag based, if you will. I didn't know that Norfolk State was like a Jackson State in that area. Like I didn't
Yeah.
know that they were huge like that. And so now these last couple years, I appreciate the fact I'm able to see them. So now they got that that rigid style. So I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't know that before. But no, I don't. I still don't see them as like a huge size band. I know they could be, but no, I don't have. I don't feel that they're like a large band like that.
Well,
Just.
usually I categorize bands like if you're a small band, if you're a block 96 or less, you're an average size band if you like 120, 160. And if you're above 160, then you're a big band. You know, you hitting on one, 180, 180, 264, you're a big band.
Hmm.
So
You're talking about the drill box, right, Ernest?
yeah.
What's funny
Basic drill
is
box.
a lot of bands are like I think if you can correct somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I see Chisholm is in there. Jackson State only blocks 120 in their drill, even though they have more people. Am I correct on that?
128. That would be correct. 32,
128.
32 squads of four. That is correct.
Yeah.
The great
So
Jackson's the
they're
J.
really they're
Oh,
to me
sorry.
they're still a large band. Like oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I don't know if you all saw the footage from this weekend. They had the whole percussion section off the field. That's like the dumbest mess I've ever seen. And I like Jackson State. That was
Yeah.
dumb. It threw the whole sound off. But I know it's because they're trying to maintain their block. Nobody's answering
And,
my room. In my Chisholm, you in the chat room still? Nobody answered it yet. Yeah, but I know they're like 120, 128 block, and so
yeah.
no matter what, so
Well,
yeah, I
yeah.
understand
And
it's really block,
and
but
some
sometimes like
years,
96 block is large for if it's all instrumentalists. That's still a large band.
yeah. But
Yeah.
some years they had the tubas on the sideline.
When
I
I
see
tell
Jackson
you
State with the tubas on the sideline.
the percussion is carrying so much of the heart and soul of what's going on, and the band can't hear and sync. The band was so out of sync. I hope that they hear that when they listen to it. I was like, something's wrong, and it took me for a minute. It took me a minute to figure it out, figure out what it was. I said they got the whole percussion section off the. They're not in the drill. That doesn't make sense. So it was an echo. The band was like echoing off the drummers. It was crazy.
It's definitely, it depends on the show and what they're doing. I noticed that they went into Tigers instead of into JSU. So it probably might be some manipulation in the show as far as what squads, because we have those 32 squads of four. So all our continuity charts and all that is based on that 32. And so probably when they did the Tigers, or they probably changed something up, they probably had a different instrumentation squad for something, and they tried something new. I did also notice that during the drill we marched to 128, but then right when the J sets come on the show to do their
Hmm.
thing, then the rest of the band usually comes on the field to be a part of the block and to play and to be a part of the dance routine. Um,
Hmm.
I think they're still doing it like that. But yeah, who knows? Like you said, if they had the drummers off the field, they're probably doing something new or changing something in those continuity charts. Shout out.
That comes from that old school drilling book. People who just don't want to take the time to learn a new way of designing drills.
That's what it
That's that
is.
old school drilling. You pick a school, you pick whichever squad your band kind of fall, the numbers that your band kind of fall into, and you always drill to that. But it's really, I mean, with today's technology and the things that we have, power and everything else, like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that a band will still be sticking to a 120, 128 block,
It's
and you got
laziness.
300 folks. It's
Yeah,
lazy. It's very
it's
lazy.
laziness. That's all it is. They don't want to devote the time and the thinking power that it will take to just to figure out, okay, how can I make this formation with 300 people instead of 120? you know.
Yeah, yeah, I don't agree with that. But I mean, I'm
You don't
biased.
agree with what? You don't agree with what? What
I,
don't you agree with?
I don't believe it's lazy. I just think that I think there's still probably a lot of competition probably still going on as far as spots on the field. You know what I mean? But
Well,
but
I
but
mean,
like I said,
you
they're
can
adding
still
them
have a
after the dance routine. It's just
But
probably
why
a
the
certain.
competition on why competition on the field if you have enough spots? That doesn't make sense.
Well, I'm saying like well, they're probably keeping rigid with the continuity charts. Yes, that's probably something to do with it. I'm just
that sounds
saying.
like a PC answer.
I'm just.
You need to run for president.
I'm just. I'm just saying
If
this
you
probably
still
builds
using that old school
competition.
Dr. Foster drill book as your only means of creating drills in 2019, come on, that book's not even in print anymore. Like, come on, we gotta figure it out.
Yeah,
You gotta figure it out.
it's probably
That's
also
true.
too a way because Jackson State probably has like 800 people trying to come in. Maybe it's a way of maybe tapering some of the numbers off or something like that. I don't know. Just a little something. But I mean, who knows? But I guess I don't think it was lazy. But I do think that there
You know
is
what?
something about
You
having
know
a
what
certain
this
amount of
proves
people
that
doing the drill. I kind of like that
because
myself.
Cookman, I think they have a 264 block or maybe a 224, and they have a large D squad too. But they keep those people in the stands. If you don't make the show, you stay in the stands. But they still have over 200 people on the field. You know,
Hmm.
so you keeping your band down to those numbers just to do those traditional things, I think, is the issue.
And I think there is some truth to that, being a little bit more fluid. Making some
Right.
adjustments, adjusting, updating with the time. I get it. I get it. It's just when I heard lazy, I was like, what? Like, hold on a
Get mad. Get mad. Go ahead, defend your people. Defend your people.
I appreciate it. I appreciate
You
it.
know, Jackson State band staff not on social media, so you good. Go ahead and defend them. You got them. You got their back.
Yeah. I mean, Lowell's on there. Shout out to Lowell, as my boy. And I gotta actually meet, what's it, Roderick Little. I actually got to meet him because he seems
So,
cool. Uh,
sidebar. I tell you, one of the most intelligent conversations and dialogues I've had with an educator in a long time. Rod Little's all right. Like really, really, really. That we were on a panel together and he was outstanding. So I had to give him a shout out. Like I was really impressed. Like I did a head turn. Like, oh, go ahead, black man. You better be intelligent, smart, know what you're talking about in the field. And just I'm talking about an all around good educator, not just a band director, because it's a difference.
Right.
So we have a lot of band directors. We don't have a lot of educators. He's an
Right.
educator, and I can appreciate that about him.
well, that's what's up.
Absolutely.
That's what's up. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll be touching base with him. All right. I'm trying to think. I think that's mostly all I wanted to talk about. Did you guys have anything else that you wanted to bring up? Because I see we hear about 90 minutes here. We're closing in on it.
I, what did we say about small band, big bands? We said it's a bias, right?
Well,
What was our
yeah.
closing thoughts?
Well, I,
We
I,
got
I'm. St-
distracted.
I mean, I still myself. I'm still biased. I like the small band. I like it because I want to talk about them and
Mm.
promote them. But I'm off gate. I just don't. I'm not gonna put them out there as like the number one program. Oh, well, let me ask: is Miles considered small?
No, no,
No,
So
no,
Miles is
no.
big,
Miles
right?
over
That's what I'm
200.
saying.
He had over 200, yeah.
But Miles used to
Yeah.
be small, I guess. So who's a small band that's like better than like Miles?
Well, it depends on what you're
I don't
talking about
know.
when you say better.
I
You
guess
know,
so. Like I don't
like
know. Like just what I'm saying. I,
that's a good question.
okay, so let me ask you this. Uh, yeah. See, even if they were in a competition, I would feel it would still be even a small percentage that, and the big band not sleeping on the little band, that the big band is gonna have like a better show or they're gonna have a better
Hmm.
performance. That's tough because the only time I really seen them smaller schools have like, oh man, did you see it? It's like the bigger schools slept on them, like
Yeah.
like South Carolina State in '96.
I know
And
you
you know
go.
what I'm saying? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, let's be honest. South Carolina
See,
State would have blown us out. They would have blown us out of the water
yeah.
at '96. But y'all was not tripping about us coming to Orangeburg. I'm talking about
Right.
Constance C. Smith now.
Right.
So
Right.
we were full of
And,
energy, and y'all weren't. So, but
right.
if y'all were really waiting for us, would that have happened? You know what I'm saying?
No. 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 You're right. And I said that in the article. It's like small bands have the task of proving, or well, earning the audience's respect. They have to earn it, and if they do it, then they're going to get all just doing praise. They're going to be the talk of the town if they earn that respect. The big band already has it from the moment they walk into the stadium. They have the audience's full attention and respect. So if you don't want to be what my band director used to call a hot dog band, where everybody, when you go on the field, everybody gonna get a hot dog. Then you got to earn their attention. So if you're a
Yeah.
small band, you have to be on point, like y'all were in '96. Y'all came in there with a lot of energy, and that energy stuck from the whistle all the way to that crazy behind split thing y'all do at the
Hey man, that was, that was the greatest day of our life. Let me tell you.
end.
I don't even I don't even remember that week. Like after that, like it was a great day. But yeah, man. But we deep down knew it. I mean, you know what I'm
You're right.
saying?
Right.
And then like I think the following week, Winston Salem State came in and kind of like drug us through the frame. It was pretty bad. it was it was horrible. But Mr. Gray said y'all had all that energy last week, and now and then look what happened. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
I think a
man.
lot of larger bands sleep on smaller bands too. They don't
They
get up
do.
for
They do.
smaller bands like they. It used to bother us when I was on Morgan's staff. Like, some bands, they don't even want to battle. They don't care when a
Yep.
smaller band comes through. They're like, oh, you know, I'm gonna reserve that comment. But some bands, they just don't give you the. They don't give smaller bands the same respect. Like, oh, it's just them. They don't give you the same
Yep.
amount of respect as if
They
they were
don't.
playing, another larger band. So,
Yep. They'll play, it may play one song after the game is over,
yep.
and,
And then they want to
and
leave.
yep, then they leave.
Yep.
So it's
So
like,
Or they
wow.
don't battle. Or they don't battle at all.
Yep.
Or they be like, oh, we gotta go do a parade in Norfolk State. We gotta go do a parade in Norfolk State.
oh, I was late. I
Uh,
was late with it. But yeah, I guess we all agree. I mean, and that's just how it is.
yep.
You a bigger band, you know, it's easier, I guess. But a smaller band, you
Yep.
just gonna have to you got to show up. You know what I
You
mean?
got to show
You
up.
got to
You
show
got
up.
to on point. Yep. There's no room for error. Everybody has to be playing. Everybody has to be marching. Everybody has to be vocalizing. If you're in
Yep.
a big band, you may have about 20 people not doing all that.
Yep, chilling.
Yeah, and it still be effective.
Right.
So yeah.
They listed some guys in the chat room listed some small bands that are doing well, like
Yes.
Stillman,
Mhm.
Langston. A lot of people talking about Langston. I saw a lot of people talking about Langston this year.
But Langston ain't no small band no more.
Wow, really?
Yeah, you haven't seen the clip?
I
Now,
ain't
let me say this. I said I was going to say something about Langston. Now, Langston reminds me of Talladega in
really.
that, yes, they got big, but like they don't know how to handle it just yet.
Okay.
And and when I saw their show, the drilling was off. I mean, like their first set wasn't centered on the field, just like Talladega that year, that infamous year when they was off center from the 50. Same thing happened with Langston, and they were in their dance girl block, and that wasn't even centered on the field. So I'm like, whoever is writing their drills, they need to, because the band didn't mess up. The band did not mess up. It's just that it was planned
Whoever
that way.
wrote it. Yeah.
Yeah, whoever
Hmm.
wrote it. So they have some issues, and they have a big sound, but it's not refined yet. It's almost like they're still a small band. They're just trying to overblow, and they're trying to overcompensate, and so they got some issues to work out. But it is improved, because of what we said. When you have a bigger band, a lot of your mistakes get covered up. So
Yeah.
if you got 10 trumpets, you're gonna hear when one of them miss a pitch. When you got 30 or 40, it may not be heard as clearly, or it may be passed over, so and you can do more pictures on the field and all those positives that go with having a bigger band. So I think they're experiencing some of that right now, but they have some of those small band issues still.
Well, that's what's up, y'all. Uh, well, I see some people saying some things in the chat room, mostly listing some of those small band schools, and I think we all agree about those. I, shout out to Savannah State. This is like one of my favorite small band programs, and they're going through their thing right now. So shout out to them and prayers,
Shout
sending
out to
prayers.
Savannah State.
Yeah, sending
Right.
prayers down there, with Savannah State. All right. Uh, anything else?
So Major Payne, I think he's a part of Langston's band program. He said 95% of the band is freshmen. Not making excuses, but it is what it is, and they just have some growing pains from rebuilding. Yeah, they do. They're
That's true.
quite a bit. They're on the up and up, but they just got some cleaning up,
Yeah.
small things that that they have to attention to detail is what I'm going to call it.
And I
So
hope they.
you have the bodies in there now. So now you got to attend to the details. For instance, did everybody take the time to hem those pants to where they need to be?
Yeah,
How does the drum majors look? Where are they, the placement on the field? So they got that excitement. Now it's time to get that rigid effect. I've been looking at clips of Ohio State and the discipline that they have with everything that they do, everything from their uniform to their entrance is like amazing. And so that's where these programs that's building, they have to kind of go. They have to look at the discipline now of it, the
that's
small
right.
attention to details that takes them to that next level. So that's what we're basically saying about Langston. Not saying it's all bad, but
Right.
there's some growing pains for sure that's evident. You can tell that they're young and out of the box and excited. It's a Sunday, so I won't use another comparison, but you guys get my whole point.
And
They're blowing their top a little too soon.
right. And and what I was gonna say to that is something that is the main motto for when I do National Signing Day and all those other things. It's go to class,
Hmm.
please. Like,
What?
go to class. And what I'm getting at is retention. Um,
Yeah.
I know a couple years back when the boom right now, I'll tell you guys some internal stuff in the boom. Everyone hates the trumpet section, the Trump phone, because we're so great. We get hated on, okay, internally. I'm just letting y'all know
Trumpet
that.
players always think they're great. Trumpet players always think they're great. Keep going. Keep going with
Always.
I
the
didn't
story
know.
here.
I thought that was a Jackson State thing. But my bad.
No, that's
So
an everywhere thing.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Okay, so but anyway, uh when they started changing our instrumentation, and so it's all about the loudness and the horn, B tones and the French horns, trumpets start getting swallowed up. Well, there was a year that a lot of these trumpet players did not do well in school, and they're going to be forever until we bring in probably about 90 trumpets. We are never going to balance that band out. And we sound
Mm.
okay, but it was used to be a whole lot more of a trumpet representation there. And that's just
Mm.
basically going to class. There was a lot of guys who just weren't going to class. Now, speaking as someone who was one of those people, I'm telling y'all, go to
So,
class because it
Yeah.
it will affect you for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna always
That's
hammer
right.
that home. But a lot of that is
That's
retention,
true.
where like we pretty much are excited because all three of us we crunk about our program now, but we still had to go to class after you got out of band practice. And
That's right.
absolutely.
I definitely want students and anybody listening to make sure you go to class so we ain't talking about your program. So if they keep that 95% next year, man, who knows what they'll look like. You know what I mean?
Right.
Absolutely.
So we just gotta hope they go to class. All
Yeah,
right.
you're absolutely right. You can't get financial aid. You can't get scholarships, anything else if
That's
you're
right.
failing everything.
You can't
So you got it.
pledge.
That you can't
That's
play.
You
right.
can't
Well,
pledge.
nobody don't care about pleasure right now. Let's keep them in school. Let's keep them in school. Then we'll worry about letting them pledge.
Oh, you right.
But you're
Damn,
absolutely
damn.
right. They
Sorry.
gotta go to class. Them late night trips. You gotta get your butt up
That's
and go to
right.
class. After you come
That's
back from
right.
the battle bands, you gotta go. You'll learn your lesson about scheduling 8 o'clock classes later, but you got to go to class so that you can, because it does. It affects the program more than I'm thinking about my years at Morgan and how many kids just, academically ineligible for financial aid. Like that makes a big difference. The number of
That's
kids
right.
we lost because they didn't go to class. So that you're absolutely right. That
Um,
was a great point.
I did an interview with the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill's band director, and when they do the March Madness in the tournament, the UNC is always in the tournament, and they have it organized to the point where they take over a hotel and have a floor for their students to study, and they have computers set up, everything for them to do their homework.
Wow.
So they value their education that much, So what you said was right on point, man. You got to get that education component down. It's one of the retention. That's one of the reasons why band programs get small is because of the retention factor. Those upperclassmen can't stay in because of grades. So yeah, that's important.
Yeah, man. And then it's always then the danger then of the programs that kind of let people march like that. And then we saw what happened some years back. And I
Can't
mean,
do it.
it's just way too much out there. But it comes internally. So I think that's how I even started the podcast myself. I was going to march in the band. I was not tripping about college, and that's real. And and so, once I realized what I was doing there, it changed my life. It still affects me to this day, you know.
Mhm.
Cause now as a teacher, sometimes when I'm at the community college, I'm telling somebody, man, you got to read this, and they'll look at me like, for what? And I'm like, man,
Right.
I can't get mad at him. I was worse.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, so that's what's up, y'all. Go to class, y'all. All right, all right.
Go to class.
So anything left? I'll go ahead, Bridge. So I'll just start with you as far as the shout out. Any closing shout outs that you have? Anything coming up for the
Shout out to
week?
everybody in the chat. Yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat room. Chat room was chatting it up. Dr. Chisholm, Major Payne, everybody who was in the chat room. Shout out to you guys for hanging out with us this show. We're excited about this upcoming season. So thank you for hanging out with us. That's my shout out.
Definitely. It was exciting just having a conversation with you guys. Ernest, anything shout out before we close out the show?
Man, shout out to you guys, man. I'm glad to be back. I enjoyed this on Sunday evenings, hanging out and discussing these topics with such esteemed professionals. So I appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Well, that's what's up, y'all. I want to say if you're interested in becoming a sponsor or a patron to the Marching Podcast, just hit us up and we'll put your business and all that down there below and start to support you and buy your shirts. And so I'll wear your shirts and all that stuff so we continue to support each other. And if you're listening, you on YouTube, wherever you are, support, like, do all those things. And we'll continue to do that. Again, I definitely again want to say shout out to the Rogers Brothers, Show Style, the Show Style Talk guys, and Eddie, and even all the participating schools as well. I'm really proud to see them holding that check. You know what I'm saying? I was like, wow, that's cool, man. So
Yeah, that is cool.
yeah, so that's I think that we getting it. So
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it. So again, thanks to
I forgot
the
to
two of
give
you.
I forgot to give my shout out to the Rogers brothers. Hey, those my neighbors. Brandon Rogers came and bailed me out of a situation a couple of weeks ago, so I definitely got to give the Rogers
Oh
brothers,
yeah,
Rogers Bros,
there you go.
a shout out. Glad you're feeling better over there. They should be back on air tonight. So yep, shout
Yeah,
out to the Rogers brothers.
yeah. I think listen, Brandon wasn't feeling well or something. So
Yeah, Brandon was sick last week. They couldn't. They didn't air. They were supposed to air their show, that After Houston show, but Brandon was really sick. So
okay.
I went around and checked on the homie. I had to go around and check on the homie, make sure they was good. Brandon and Javonte. But he said he's feeling better. He's feeling a lot better. He had a rough week, so we're excited for them to be back on the air tonight.
Yeah, cool. Shout out to them. And then shout out to you, Ernest, too, man. One thing I try to get, I was like, man, you gotta read, man. Reading is super important. So it's cool that you have a blog where we're actually able to read something. You know what I'm saying? Like we gotta
Great
keep
article.
reading, y'all. We gotta keep reading, y'all.
Yep.
Appreciate it, my brother.
It was a great read. It was a great read. It really was.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
And shout out to everybody in the chat room. We'll do this again back next week, 4:30 Eastern time, and we'll try to talk we get it up, read up as soon as possible. So we're not on the air too long. But again, thanks again for your support, and you guys, I appreciate you, and I'll go ahead and close out the show. All right. Thanks again for listening. Come to the end of our podcast. Check out the website. Donate what's in your heart to themarchingpodcast.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Thanks to you for listening. And remember, the lectures you deliver may be very fine and true, but I'd rather get my lesson in observing what you do. See you next time.
And that's it for the 90 Degree Show for this week. Tune in next week with Joe Beard, where the marching band battles continue.